What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about if the new Batman game should have a day-night cycle. So, I've mentioned this before. This is actually a topic that I said needs to be in the game. But in this one, I want to kind of go over the pros and cons, what they could do with a day-night cycle, if it's a good idea, why maybe it doesn't work in a game like this, and we're going to discuss all of that right here. So, really quickly, before I jump in, I want to promote our Discord really quickly. It'll be in the description below. If you guys have not yet checked it out and you want to, it's there. We got people there in the Arkham community, and obviously as the Batman game gets closer and closer, and as more actually DC games come out, I'm sure it's going to continue to grow. So lots of really nice people over there willing to talk about pretty much whatever. Again, it'll be in the link below. So this new game, okay, now we've talked about the day-night cycle. The thing to remember, I do understand this too, is this isn't like a Spider-Man. This isn't like, I don't know, pick a superhero that you can imagine walking down the street taking selfies with people. You're not going to see Batman during the day just strut around the streets of Gotham taking pictures of people, signing autographs. It's not necessarily going to happen. The thing that we talked about so much in the past is, I think what you have to do to probably to probably pull this off the best is to introduce Bruce Wayne, right? I've said for a long time Bruce Wayne needs to be in this game. I think you need, and now again, he's been in the games, right? You've been able to play as him in various sections, various different situations, but I think honestly that this should be the game that you really try to embrace it. Now, again, the game is called Batman, and for the same reason that I say, because the game's called Batman whatever, that's the reason why I don't want to spend 90% of the game playing as the Bat family. And I do stand by that. Honestly, if I'm buying a game called Batman, it doesn't matter what else it's called, but if it's called Batman, I'm expecting it to mainly be Batman. I get the want to play as other people. In fact, that's why I want a Wonder Woman game. That's why I want a Justice League or Suicide Squad game. I want to be able to play as other people, but in a Batman game, I want to play as Batman for most of the time. Now, again, do I want to play as the Bat family? Yes, and I honestly, now let's take that and let's introduce Bruce Wayne into it. Same kind of thing. Now, Telltale's games, I think, did Bruce Wayne about as good, especially the second game, especially The Enemy Within. Now, again, if you guys have watched this channel for a while, you may know I did not like the first Batman, the season 1. I actually thought it was pretty bad. I would say it's one of the worst Telltale things that they put together. Now, maybe that's a minority opinion. Maybe that doesn't represent your opinion. That's totally cool. What I'm happy to report is the second game, The Enemy Within, I thought was fantastic. I really loved it. And one of the things I loved the most about it was the fact that actually Bruce Wayne, I feel like, got the best kind of things. Now, he was put in very awkward situations, very kind of like tense situations, right? That made it kind of amp up a lot of different things. So I really enjoyed that. Now, am I expecting that with this game? Not necessarily. I don't need them to completely replicate The Enemy Within, but basically it's okay to do Bruce Wayne, and Bruce Wayne has been done well before in Batman games, is all I'm trying to say. So, why am I talking about that so much? Well, again, if you have a day mode in Batman, you would have to introduce Bruce Wayne. Now, the thing is, with Spider-Man, the missions had direct times. Okay, so if you're going to a mission, it would actually change the setting on you. So certain missions you did play during the day, certain missions you did play at night, right? And then the clock, when you're swinging around, that would change, okay? So again, even they didn't do it perfectly where it's like, okay, it literally goes day, night, day. And if you choose to do a mission at night, you're doing it at night. If you choose it to do during the day, you're going to do it during the day, right? No, actually it was, if you pick a mission, we're going to tell the time for you. And, maybe people will get upset about that. I honestly don't really see a problem with it. I like the idea of literally one day having an open world game where there is a internal clock that constantly moves, and any mission that you may be able to, one person could do at noon, another person could do at 5, and the sun would be different, and then somebody else could do at midnight, and obviously, the moon would be out, or you know what I mean? Like, I want that one day, but how Spider-Man does it, how Batman, I think, should and probably will do it, I'm completely fine with. So honestly, Batman may be the exact same way. If you're going to do one mission, I think it would maybe change it on you. I could see them doing something where most of it takes place literally, like if you're free roaming, I should say, takes place all during the night, but some missions that you're going to be doing, you go during the day and you're Bruce Wayne. It honestly, and again, maybe that doesn't sound that fun. It doesn't sound like it's that like new, right? It doesn't seem like it's taking that much of a risk. And I agree with that to some degree, especially because, again, like really when it comes down to it, when you're beating up thugs, when you're exploring all these different areas, when you're facing these side villains, when you're when you're doing the Riddler challenges, all this kind of stuff, it's all probably still going to take place at night. And now again, I mean, it's the like Dark Knight, Arkham Knight. I mean, you can think of all. I mean, Batman takes place at nighttime, right? He doesn't really go out during the day, so it makes sense. I understand that. At the same time, you need to address again what is to me one of, if not the biggest issue with these games. And I know, from seeing your guys' comments, from talking to you guys for a year at this point, right? What one of the biggest issues is the fact that it takes place in one night. Now, there are some people that like that. Okay, I'm not going to say that there's not a single person that likes the kind of premise that they put. And again, with Arkham Knight, I thought they did it as well as they possibly could, like giving you a pretty solid reason of why everybody's gonna leave. But again, with this new game, soft reboot, whatever you want to call it, you got to do some things different. So I think the fact that Batman can take out 15 side villains and 2 or 3 main villains and can stop all these different crimes and finds 700 Riddler trophies and does a racing course underground, does all this kind of stuff, and he does it in probably 8 hours, doesn't make any sense whatsoever, right? And again, it's a video game, it's Batman. Does it need to make sense? Well, I mean, Batman is more grounded in reality than some other heroes or villains, right? So, but at the end of the day, I mean, I get it. It's a game. Things like this can't. I mean, it has happened. It's not just a Batman thing, by the way. There's plenty of games where a large amount of stuff gets done in such a short period of time. Okay, so it's not new, but at the same time, it gets repetitive and it gets old. And when you do it 4 times, and when the reasons you're gonna have to keep recycling these, it doesn't exactly. Again, it's not like fun. It's not anything that kind of is new or tries to change it on you. I mean, ultimately, you could say, well, if it's not broke, don't fix it. But at the same time, I feel like there's so much more potential there. Now, again, you can't stop robberies during the day. Like, nobody's gonna rob a bank or something during broad daylight, and you're gonna have to go in there and stop them. But things can happen at nighttime. Now, again, they try to introduce a little of that with Arkham Knight, right? Obviously, you even look at Two-Face's missions with the robbing of banks. That was his kind of thing. The problem is no one was in there, okay? And it's very hard to do kind of hostage situations when there's nobody outside. Now, Arkham City did a little bit where there were, sometimes people out and about, or kind of situations where you felt like somebody was in danger, okay? And also, again, they try to do some side mission things as well. So you have to look at those things and say, well, can you do it better? I feel like you don't need to make everybody locked up in this game. And again, that's where the day-night cycle comes in, is there doesn't need to be a rush to get it all done in one night. And honestly, here's the thing I don't think I've even mentioned before in any of these videos. The thing that actually helps the most is the fact that the main villain should be the Court of Owls. Okay, now, again, more of a secret organization. They know Bruce Wayne is Batman. They know all these different things, and they're very smart. They have people everywhere. They have, again, these kind of hired ninja assassins, right? They're very, very powerful. So again, could you defeat them in one night? Well, if you were in Arkham Asylum, City Night, or for any of these games, you probably would have defeated them in one night. But in all reality, this is something that should and could take place over several days. Have them get into Batman's head. Have them kind of prove to Batman that they know what his next step is going to be. You know what I mean? Have them do some of those things. And how do you do that? Well, I mean, I guess you could do that in a couple different missions, in one night, right? But if you had to be a couple days, if you had some Bruce Wayne stuff mixed in, you have different dialogue decisions, right? You can have different people kind of subbing in and subbing out, talking to Batman, talking to Bruce Wayne. But again, I think the villain here makes a lot of sense that it wouldn't all be done in one night. It's planned. They're very, again, they're very, very powerful. They know a lot of things. They're very smart, and they're very aware, basically, right? So it doesn't have to all happen in one night. And again, in fact, it shouldn't. So again, I really do think I land on the day-night thing needs to happen. If the fact that they never did it in the other Arkham games isn't kind of a wake-up call for Warner Bros. Montreal, if that's not a wake-up call enough, again, Spider-Man, I think, should be. The fact that does have, again, it's not perfect. It's not literally an internal clock that's constantly moving and very, very dynamic in that way. They do choose things for you, okay? But at the same time, at least it's not taking place over one day. And again, it allows the story. I mean, now, I don't love the story of Spider-Man. I think there are a lot of weaknesses in that story, okay? It's probably one of the biggest weaknesses of that game, if you can even say that there's weaknesses of Spider-Man. I think the story probably is it, but at the same time, it does I mean, the story takes advantage of it taking place over several days because lots of stuff is happening and villains are doing things and even Peter's doing things and you're building relationships and you're going through these things. And in fact, there's a lot of movement in time of Spider-Man. So again, the story takes advantage of that. So that's another thing you got to think of too is, it could backfire and it could definitely just not work. And maybe Batman is best suited to have it all be taking place over one night. But at the same time, even look at the movies, even look at the Dark Knight movies. I mean, they didn't take place over one night, right? Lots of things happened that took a lot of time for it to happen, right? It didn't just happen in one night. So you got to think about that as well, that how could the story benefit from not doing just one night? How does it benefit from going into the daytime? Well, you can introduce Bruce Wayne now. Well, you could introduce the Court of Owls a little bit more extended. You can introduce maybe even like an impending threat. So again, there is always kind of an impending threat in these Batman games, right, where there's something that's going to happen at the end of the night or whatever. Basically, it's the reason why there's nobody there, right? It's the reason why everybody left, because something really bad is going to happen if you don't stop it in like 6 to 8 hours. But again, is that realistic? No. But if you have multiple days, then you have a chance to build it up. Now, they could go longer than a couple of days, you know what I mean? So we'll have to see how they do it, but I really think this is the smartest decision they can make. If this all takes place in one night, it's not a game, I'll tell you this, it's not going to break the game, it's not going to completely ruin things, but I really do think that if they come out and the trailer, and when we see gameplay, and then we start hearing about the game, and all this different stuff, if they start saying, like, yeah, it's going to take place over one night, I feel like that's one of the most disappointing things that we're ever going to hear in terms of this Batman game. I truly do believe that, because I feel like there's just so much more they could do, and so many more things they could do, and especially, you're going to have the Bat family, you're going to be playing as more characters. Why have it be just all, you know what I mean? Why have it be in all one night? Maybe some nights, one of the Bat family members isn't even active. You can't even play as them. I don't know. I mean, just think of different possibilities, but they can do a lot of different stuff. You're really limiting yourself, and you're kind of going back to basically doing what's safe, right? Which you could argue maybe Warner Bros. Montreal will try to do. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want that from this Batman game. I want it to be really good, and you could say, well, maybe playing it safe is the best decision, but I also want them to take some risks. It's been a long time since any Arkham game, and it's been even longer since their Arkham game, so I really do want them to try some different things and to make this Batman game a bit more of an up-to-date superhero game. I really do believe that they need to try to step into. Right now, Spider-Man's doing it. Now, there's not many other superhero games to compare it to, but I think you got to catch up, and the day-night cycle, I think, is a really big issue. So, guys, let me know in the comments below, what do you think? Do you think this game should have a day-night cycle? What do you think you should do? What do you think you would do at night, during the day? Do you think it should be taking place over several days? Let me know your thoughts, again, in the comments. As always, make sure you guys subscribe to this YouTube channel. Hit the bell icon so you guys know when these videos go up. And I got some I don't want to spoil things for you guys, but I got some really, really fun stuff coming up over the next little while. There will be another video, I believe, on Sunday. And in that video, I'll tease probably very early on what's coming. But we got some really big things coming up over the next couple weeks, okay? Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all on Sunday's video.